morning, Portland. This is so wonderful to be here on a Saturday morning and seeing all of these Portlanders that are excited about activating downtown plazas and squares. And obviously that's the key word. Thank you. It's been a rough 2.5 years to serve on city council, let me tell you. So to have an opportunity to be at a meeting on Wednesday morning, to come back 3 days later and then see all this amazing vision that's put forth. This is rich collateral. And guess what? Not one of these designs is going to win. Can we all accept that? And if you think that your design is the only one that should win, then I really don't have time for you, because that would go against what we're trying to accomplish in a city that's trying to move forward. Now I want to tell you my opinions. All right, I'll stop. But really my main point is, Randy, when we were talking yesterday, I go, what have you picked up on this week? And he said, I noticed people were hungry. I was like bracing myself for what you're going to say next. Hungry to not complain. Think about that. Hungry to not complain. Because we have become the city of whiners. Have you noticed? And it's really exhausting. And it's time for us to figure out how we can keep working together to move forward. We can't continue to accept false narratives that we have services for people that desperately need them. We have small businesses that need to thrive. We have people that need to experience joy and beauty and art. And they can all exist in a downtown area. Portland, you're becoming a big city. Buckle up and deal with it. Let's do this. That didn't go over very well. But but you know what? It's Saturday morning. It's been a rough week. So I really do believe what I just said. We are experiencing a transition into a bigger city, and we need to figure out how we can do this right. And that doesn't mean that services that exist don't have checks and balances. It doesn't mean that we don't have rules that allow people to be monitored so that their behavior doesn't make people feel constantly unsafe. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that we have to grow up and be a city that accepts these challenges, all of these challenges, and they all can exist in really similar spaces, because that's what happens in big cities. I was grateful to live in New York in the 80s, from 85 to 91. I saw a lot during that period of time. Many of you I look out there probably weren't even born. Trust me, it was a fascinating time to live in Harlem. It was pre-gentrified. It allowed me to really experience what I'm talking about. So I'm gonna end with a story that before I do that, I'm looking at Steve over there. Steve is a small business owner next door. Underwear, what is it? Underwear for men? This older queer should really know this title. Sorry about that. But anyway, Steve, that guy right there, has put up with and survived during so many challenges over the last 3 years. The fact that he continues to employ people on a daily basis, that your clients continue to be loyal and come back, even though I just saw you this morning and you said you don't want to use mace on anyone. I know that about you. But you've had to protect yourself and survive and do that in this last week. So just know that there are small business owners that are as liberal as that I've always been my whole life, that are just trying to speak the truth to how challenging it is to survive as a small business downtown. And so I just really salute you and other small businesses. You don't have the luxury of working from home. Your services are in your stores. And so it's really important for a lot of us to get back downtown so we can have some more in-person innovative time with our teammates, so that we can activate our streets more often, so that we can join you in solidarity, you and the small businesses of downtown Portland. Thank you so much. All right, so here's my story that I'm going to go ahead and tell. So it's circa 1981. I was 20 years old. My friend Peter and I were kicked out of a bar on Stark Street, which is now called Harvey Milk. It was called Vaseline Alley back then. It was the gay street. It's where all the bars were. Anyway, I was 20. I got kicked out. I should get kicked out. It was illegal. But anyway, we got kicked out. Our bus didn't leave for another hour and a half, so we were two tipsy 20-year-olds downtown and we had nothing to do for an hour and a half, so we started doing show tunes on the fountain at O'Brien Square. And within one song, we had 10 people that were all into it, and I'm pretty sure they were homeless, and they got into it, and they were activated, and they were singing with us, and we had the best time, and we darn near missed our bus because we didn't have cell phones that had a timer on it back then, and so we rushed away, but we went home saying that was so fun. Oh my God, we connected with people. We sang the typical show tunes that a lot of people would know, especially if you're gay, and we had the best time. And my point is, it was midnight on a Friday, Saturday, I don't know which night, but because we were singing, because we were experiencing joy, even people who were probably suffering found that connection, and it felt really safe during that hour. And it wasn't that beautiful in that park when we entered, but of course we were 20, so we thought we were invincible, and so what are you going to do? And my point is, we got to activate that space. And we got to activate a lot of our spaces downtown. Director Long knows this because I have the opportunity when you're a commissioner overseeing an amazing bureau like Parks, the foundation of all livability in the city of Portland. And I said, downtown, central area, plazas and squares must be our number one priority right now. It's just simple. We must focus on that as our number one priority because we need that activation, we need that joy, we need to not rest on our laurels. Just because you do a great construction project doesn't mean anything if you don't maintain it and have people engaged in it. Luckily, I've lived in big cities, I've traveled to big cities, I know all of you have too, and when you go there and when you're staying in the central area, what do you remember when you come home? Don't you remember those spontaneous moments that you had in a plaza in a square that you didn't plan on? Don't you remember those half hours where you just decide to go off your schedule and you listen to a musician? You end up having some food that you didn't know you would eat. I mean, that's what makes a city vibrant. Portland, don't be afraid of being a big city. Let's do this. It's so good to see you this morning, and have a great day. Thanks.
So our week has been really intense here, but what a joy to see the passion that everyone has for O'Brien Square, Park Block 1, and really revitalizing your city. So what we've witnessed this week is a real coalition building and coming together around this space. And I think, as I was just describing to one of my very oldest friends from New York who left New York for Portland, you have the opportunity to experiment here. And it was almost like when in Brooklyn, before Brooklyn became Brooklyn, where you could try things out in a way that we can't do in Manhattan. And so I think this is the great opportunity for you all to actually have this period of time to test ideas. Are they whimsical, like, oh, bringing a big butterfly? Or are they, or do we have, experimental kind of street skate? Or is there an opportunity for testing out sustainability? You all have so much rain. So are there water strategies that you can try here? So, what I'd say is, what I take away from you all is a real energy and hopefulness, optimism, that your various communities and constituencies, both city as well as private, will come together and to make this space a really great public space and a model for the rest of the country and the world. So, thank you.
So it's an honor to be here, and thank you for the sponsors for investing us to come and be able to listen and then be able to talk to some of your creatives, some of the business owners, some of the young people, and I start to see some of that in some of the drawings. I think there's a lot of potential here, and I'm excited for the ability to be able to experiment. This is like a small enough space that you can do a lot of fun things with. And so I'm really excited to be a part of that. But I am better with Q and A. I am a really good problem solver, and so I want to be able to hear maybe some of the things that you all are either excited about, concerned about, having some bumps or whatever, because I think that's on some level what we're here for is to be kind of that catalyst and conduit with those kind of things. So yes, please.
One concern I have is that we're pretty close with this location to both Pioneer Square and Director Park, and there have been challenges activating those spaces. And so I'm wondering how this gets differentiated and what might be done differently.
So activation, I think, is a one of my questions was, it's like, if you wanted to be able to rent out a park for activation, any activation, yoga in the park or things like that, how do you do that? And people were like, we really don't know. I guess you call the park, you get a permit, something like that. But I think it could, in the 21st century, I think there's something like we can create an app or something something that's a little more user-friendly, and that lends itself to more activations and people who have kind of been left out of that process. So I think that is super solvable, and I'm looking forward to being able to help be a supporter on that.
Sure. My name's Damon. I live and work in Newark, New Jersey. I'm a designer. And I guess that my kind of condensation of these couple days is kind of like what I learned in high school physics about the different states of matter, of like different energy states from like solid, liquid, gas, and like plasma. And I feel like there's definitely some like plasma going on here. And the question is, like, how will these little plasma beads meet up with each other to at least make one or maybe 3 or 4 or 5 plasma balls of sufficient size that they're sustainable, that then they can like solidify. So I guess my page out of Roger's book is, I'm curious to hear from people who are not the author of a proposal, or at least of a proposal that they want to talk about, who want to lift up with like a 30-second pitch one idea you saw or one element of one idea that you think is really worth trying, or at least really worth talking about to see if it can reach that critical plasma ball size of actually being something that's part of the experiments for the next 5 years, and then maybe even part of the long-term future of O'Brien. So what's like one thing that people saw that they really wanted to hold on to? Yeah.
Well, I really like street theater, and in France they do a lot of street theater. We used to do it here in the States, and also besides street theater, lights on the walls of buildings that are not activated, that are not, that don't have people looking out.
Yeah.
So
Did you see that in any of the drawings or anything that particularly caught your eyes, like that would be a good version of that or a good place to do that, or is more of a general concept that could be applied?
concept, and I'd like to just put that in there.
Wonderful. What else? Yeah.
There's been a good number of options that have the green loop cut through the park diagonally, and there's just something very clear about that connection, and that's really what we want to do in some ways. I think the one that calls it out the most is the one from the bike lab gentleman down there, that like if you took the Portland flag and made it a diagonal and just made it a fun park, but then also, that's also reflected in a lot of different options because all that.
All right. Anybody else want to found a diagonal fan club? Yeah. All right. All right. Some diagonal lovers in the house. Let's hear it for the diagonals. Okay. What else? Street theater, lights, diagonals. Yeah.
I really like the ones that use a lot of really bold colors.
Mm.
I think downtown Portland can look kind of stodgy sometimes. We've got very warm squares nearby. It'd be fun to have something a little scrappy, a little out of the box, and kind of reconnecting with that idea of Portland being experimental and artistic. And it's cheap. You don't necessarily have to change a lot of formal things to really liven up the space.
Yeah. And you like your color on the ground, on a planter, on a bench, on a tree, on a building.
The CGF one that's got pink, and then there's another one that I can't remember the team, but they've got pink and purple and little shattered bits of color. I think it's really exciting.
All right. Rainbow Coalition. I saw some things over here. Yeah.
I think the butterfly park is maybe the best example of bringing like hyper awareness into
unless you're afraid of insects. But yes. All right, all right. Couple more that caught people's attention? Yes.
Well, I don't know if it's on any of the boards, but I saw art is important and usable art. There were some benches, some posters with benches from around places, and I thought that's not a bad idea. Usable art.
Yeah.
Art.
And other uses besides sitting on that you have in mind?
The sound, something back there that had a sound thing going on.
All right.
Like a sound circle or something.
Yeah.
But again, I also am very, very adamant about trees and grass eventually. The heat index down here, among all these lovely tall buildings, is going to be unbearable
Yeah.
in our summertime. So I just thought, throw that out.
So sitting sound sculpture that doesn't melt. All right. And trees, yes. And trees. And well, in keeping hopefully these trees with us many, many years into the future that have grown here, right? They've earned it.
I really gravitated toward the ones that had a lot of green space in one way or another
Yeah.
versus cement ones.
Great. The Grass and Gardening Club fan club. I like that too. Yes.
There's a poster over here called Coexistence Slots that has great ideas. Like they split it up by time and split it up by organization, where you get different organizations to commit to programming the park in different ways. It just seems like a great idea to see, for us to experiment on what happens. I live in downtown and I see all these unprogrammed areas when they're not programmed. And that's a huge worry for this. With this idea, it's take different parts of the park, few months each organization has time to see what works and what doesn't. I think it's a great idea.
That's great. You're talking about the one with the underwear fashion show right here, right? Yes. Wonderful. By that one's by an anonymous author that I don't know if that will come out ever. Okay, is there one more to close this out? I'm sure we'll have more time to offer different ideas. Yes.
I like the reuse of the Max train and the
Yes, the Afro Village over here. Yes. All right, shipping containers and trains. Well, it's so cool just to hear again these even initial impressions and things. And I think, as everyone knows, the goal of this exercise is not to come up with an illustration that at some point might be exactly duplicated in 3 dimensions out there. I think it really is about this deliberative process where people have to see each other and recognize each other if they're going to at least coexist, I guess, to this proposal, coexist in the same space. And so I feel like this kind of activity is amazing start to that, but it's also about, well, who's not here and who else would have to be in on this deal, right, for this to be a success. So I can't wait to hear how this keeps on unfolding. So to pass this along, Mr. Chris Callett.
We got here and we got deluged early on with all the challenges and all the negativity of the, office workers aren't downtown yet, people have left downtown, businesses are struggling, all the realities that are super real, and they are existing in downtowns across this country. And everybody is kind of working on this problem. But the time that we spent here really was hopeful. And the people that got engaged in this process, I'm leaving feeling, I felt good about Portland before I came here, although you do get painted with a bad brush in the national press, and we're coming from the outside, so you're not what they say, but you do have the challenges, but it feels like you guys are in the right spot. An exercise like this, who said it? The commissioner said it, nobody won. That's not the point. I'm a designer as well, and the hard part about design is just getting the first pencil to paper, just first getting something out. And that's the gift that these 20 boards provided you all, to start ideating and to start the discussion about what to do out there. Something that struck me about the problem, or really the opportunity that you all have, is you got to take this serious like a heart attack. Those fences are coming down in 4-6 months, and something's going to be there. So this isn't just sort of a kumbaya, let's just have fun and think about the future. Your future is now, so you got to get on this. So I'm really glad you started this process, and then I have to look around the room. I don't know if it's going to go to Parks and Ross and Laura or Peabot and hopefully a bunch of constituents that have now come to the fore because you've been involved in this process. But you got to make some big decisions for this short-term activation, and so there's pressure, but take a little bit of that pressure off too, because as my previous colleagues have said, you've got time to iterate, and you can make a mistake the first time out and do something else, but you're not going to have big budgets up front, but you're going to do something. So do something with some conviction, and that sort of like makes me think about or end with a quote I learned a long time ago as a young urban design student in school, that a city is not an accident. Okay, cities aren't organic. They're not trees, and they just kind of grow as they want and kind of happen like a germ. They're the collection of values and choices made or not made, actions taken or not taken. And you guys are at an inflection point using the microcosm of this park to possibly heal lots of things and bring lots of people and constituencies together.